Jet Set, Jet Set, Jet Set, Groovy, Jet Set Radio.
Alright, Corn, you guys take it easy. Oh, hello there, everybody. More Laughful Josh here for part 2 of Topical Discussion featuring Jet Set Radio Future. Now, you guys probably aren't going to believe this, but at the time of this recording, I am hanging out with the GGs here in Japan. Now, don't worry, I'll explain everything in just a second, but first, let's go somewhere a little bit more private to do this. Like, I don't want to interrupt Gum and Roboy's jam session here, so follow me. Alright, this is how to do it. Alright, now, I'm sure you guys are wondering how I managed to get here, let alone hang out with the GGs. Well, it turns out that DJ Professor K saw my first part of Topical Discussion featuring Jet Set Radio Future. He contacted me and asked me to come on down to see if I could record for the second part here in the garage. And thus, here I am. Now, if you saw the first part of my Topical Discussion featuring Jet Set Radio Future, you're well aware that we went over game content and design. Just in case you haven't seen it, I'll provide a link in the description below for you to see. Other than that, today we're going to be going over gameplay mechanics and story revolving around the possibility of a new Jet Set Radio Future. When it comes to a game like Jet Set Radio Future, we must take into consideration the number of variables the game uses when it comes to mechanics. There are quite a few, so let's go over the most important ones, shall we? Movement, grinding, tagging, and tricking/combos. Starting with movement in Jet Set Radio Future isn't too difficult to grasp. And for a game that keeps the player in skates the whole time, it manages to work out for the most part. Now, there are a few minor annoyances when it comes to navigating in smaller areas. I considered the idea of implementing a free run system similar to that of Tony Hawk's Underground, where the skaters are able to walk or run freely. However, I'm not too sure how I truly feel about a change like that, so I'd like to hear more opinions about that type of change. Other than that, simple tweaks to movement is all that I recommend. Next up, grinding. Grinding has always been one of the coolest and most unique features of Jet Set Radio Future. Being able to grind on, well, just about everything was just awesome. However, I do believe there is a very much needed enhancement to this feature, and that would be the ability to transfer to nearby grinds. A great example of this can be shown in the game Sonic Unleashed. In this game, Sonic is able to quickly switch between two rails that are relatively close to each other. This will be great for extending grind combos on different rails, as well as being able to easily grab cans on close rails without having to sacrifice speed or trick combos. Next up, we have tagging. Tagging in Jet Set Radio Future has been changed for the better since the original Jet Grind radio. It was made faster to keep up with the game's quick playstyle. But if you're anything like me, I would prefer that they bring back the QTE tagging style for at least specific graffiti marks, like the save spot. Yeah, it may not be much, but having a little bit more nostalgia included wouldn't hurt too bad. Lastly, we have tricking/combos. The combo system in Jet Set Radio Future works off certain rails that you grind on. Some give you more points, others give you less. The tricking system in Jet Set Radio Future applies to what buttons that you press. X being quick tricks and Y being slower 180-degree tricks. These are fine as is, but I would like to see a greater variety of tricks as well as more character-specific tricks. A lot of characters share many tricks together, and seeing more unique variations that reflect their attitude would be a nice addition. And I think that comboing X and Y buttons together should result in a bigger, more advanced trick that will potentially reward skill when landing. And to be honest, I haven't found much use for what I like to call the ground grind. I think that tweaking this move to where it can mimic that of a combo extension, much like the manual in Tony Hawk, would make it much more viable when it comes to building a high combo score, other than, just being flashy. Now, before we tackle the story, I want to make something perfectly clear. When it comes to a new story for an existing game, the most I believe I can offer is recommendations. Making up a new story for a new Jet Set Radio feature is not what Topic of Discussion is about. That job belongs solely to the creators. So, when it comes to story, I'm only going to give opinionated suggestions that I think would strengthen the story as a whole. So, here they are. Number 1. Put a stronger emphasis on who the main character of the game is. Playing through Jet Set Radio Future, I kinda had to assume Yo-Yo was the main character, simply because that's who I started with. Every story, in my opinion, has a strong protagonist. And with a game like Jet Set Radio Future with so many cool characters, pointing out something like this should make the game easier to follow, in my opinion. Number 2. Shed a little bit more light on who the background characters are. Jet Set Radio Future has a ton of cool, interesting characters. My only gripe is that I don't know that much about them. Other than finding them somewhere and them happily joining the team. I would like to know a little bit more about Boogie, where she came from, why she lives where she is, and, what does she do? And how about Beat? In Jet Grind Radio, he was the captain of the team. When did Korn become the leader? And why is his name Korn and not Tab? I don't know. Just a few things, but I think shedding a little bit more light and exploring the background of other characters should make the game richer for the experience. Number 3. More action from DJ Professor K. This last one might be me being a little bit nitpicky, but I'd like to see more of DJ Professor K. He acts like something of a mentor to the graffiti game. It would be nice to see him get out on the field to show the kids how it's done. But that's just my little gripe. Other than that, I think the story should hold up alright. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed part 2 of Topic of Discussion featuring Jet Set Radio Future. I apologize for the long wait, but setting up the plane tickets and getting out here, kind of different. Now, the rest of the game will be here soon to dance, and I don't want to miss that. So you guys be easy, and I'll see you next time on Topic of Discussion.